this OC Chronicles.
Yeah.
We in here with Geedy P.
Yeah.
Legendary in New Orleans. If you don't know, you need to figure it out. And if you ain't seen nothing like at all, like you ain't tapping, you gotta tap in. But legendary, well respected from people from way back, from the older generation to the newer generation. Well respected, bro. It's a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank y'all for having me.
Like
Yeah.
real
Thank
talk.
you so
Thank y'all.
much.
Thank y'all.
And I'm Lucky Lucci.
I'm Ziggy Alex.
And I'm GDP.
You feel
I
me?
gotta think y'all probably know that by now.
Hey,
But shout out
should-
y'all. Thank
you
y'all.
better know.
Thank
you hear
y'all.
me?
Thank y'all for
Okay,
real.
put some respect on his name. Come on.
Like Birdman said, Bubba.
Real talk. Speaking of Birdman, what's your relationship with Birdman?
Well, right now, like I said, he DM'd me because he knew I used to work with BTY Youngin, and I used to manage BTY Youngin, and he was telling me that Youngin spoke highly about me, so he slid in my DM. It was like 12. I still remember the time. I think it was like 12:20 on Valentine's Day, and 12:20 a.m. right after midnight, and I'm just listening to. I'm going back from Jay-Z to Marvin Gaye, listening to my music on my phone, and then I get the DM, and I'm like, man, what the hell? I'm like, I know I ain't tripping. I know this ain't who I think it is.
know this ain't
In my
Birdman.
DM, so I had to kind of like just step back for a second and be like, man. Then I look, and then he was telling me all that respect, nephew. I like what you did for Young, and he talked highly about you. We gonna meet. I met you without even meeting you through him, but we definitely gonna meet. And then he told me he wanted to give Miss Gabriella, Young and Mama, his music, the music that he did with when he was making all the music and stuff like that, and with D-Rock making the beats, and they was doing it in Miami when him and Styles Smart the Fisher was up there. He was telling me he want to give Miss Gabriella the music. So when I had called her like about 1 something in the morning, like right after that, and I was like, Miss Gabriella, I know it's kind of late, and it was kind of probably startling to her because she thinking like something happened to somebody, like, because I don't usually call her like that, and then to call her that late, she thought something probably happened, and I was like, I couldn't not tell you or whatever. I'm so excited. Birdman said he want to give you your son music, and you can make money off it, and whatever you want to do with it. And I was like, he told me to give you, ask for your number, and is it cool? She like, yeah. So I sent the DM to Birdman of her number, and then I never told this story. This is the first time I'm telling it. And I sent him the number, and he told me he was gonna hit up. And then when I went to work later that day, she called me at 3 o'clock. She was like, Geedy, I did talk to him. He told me he gonna give me the music. He gonna give it to me in person. And I was telling her, I know Young and have a documentary that they've been working on, and they wanted to get him on there. And I was like, this is your opportunity to make sure he do it. You can ask him when he meets you. She was like, well, he was going through the guy feet that was his other manager, the Asian guy feet, that had Black Balloon Black Balloon Records and stuff. And I was like, you could still try to ask him too, because she was like, you know what, you're right. So I had still went ahead and asked him too, because he wound up DMing me like 30 minutes after that. And he was like, look, I told Neff, he called me nephew. He was like, Neff, I guess he called everybody that's younger than him that he fuck with. He was like, I did call, I told her I'm gonna do it or whatever. And I was like, well, look, she wanna know if you wanna get on Young documentary. He was like, just tell her whatever she needed me to do, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, damn, that was what's up. And then I told him too, his nephew is my cousin. He got his nephew is Damon. So if you remember the video slow motion when they was clapping with the guy with the cat eyes, that's my little cousin or whatever. So he was like, oh man, we really locked in or whatever. So it's been love ever since. He just DM'd me today too before I came on y'all show. So.
Okay. Man, that's so good to hear, because it's like, it's easy to want to be with somebody and whatever they got going on when they here, they got motion, they on the come up. But see, when they gone and you still making the moves like you making,
right.
You tapped in with his mama,
right.
Bird even tapping in with you, like
right.
Birdman really cared, like he really cared about him. Mm-hmm. You really care about him, like, and y'all tapping in with his mom, like, that's major. Like, I'm so glad we got that on, because it's like that's a big mystery, like, because a lot of people feel like once they gone, everything just stopped.
Yeah.
Right.
And everything they done, they did, and then that's a wrap. Mm-hmm. But hearing stuff like this, that leave hope for legacies, man.
Yeah.
It keep to me, it keep, like I said, it keep his name going. Just like how they still talk about Soulja Slim on documentaries and podcasts and YouTube interviews. They still talk about Tupac. People still talk about Lil Derek from here, and people still talking about Youngin. So they have different rappers that was influenced by him and inspired, and it just keep going. And like the stuff with Birdman, there's just more stuff. So people that might have didn't know about him all the way, or didn't know what he was about to become before he lost his life. they're gonna be able to hear about it all around the world. So when people see the documentary, they're gonna be like, people in Detroit that might have didn't know about them, or LA, Harlem, or Miami, they're gonna get on them and stuff like that. So I'm glad that she'll be able to get his story out there, and Birdman gonna be instrumental in helping out any kind of way he can.
Man, that's
Right.
good to
That's
hear.
dope. That's dope. Always.
And see the thing about it, that is not the end.
Mm.
Because somebody special like a BTY or Soldier Slim, somebody on that level,
Mm.
your name could outlive how long you was gonna live anyway.
Yeah.
And you could have lived until you died of natural causes, but your name is gonna outlive that anyway. Like, we gonna remember BTY till we gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, he made that big of an impact in his time here. Soldier Slim, of course.
Right.
We still talk about Soldier.
And even other
I was
legends,
a kid then.
yeah, and
Yeah.
even other legends, like you might think about, like kids that might have didn't know Michael Jackson because he probably passed, like that's young right now. People probably didn't know about James Brown. People didn't know about Nat King Cole. Marvin Gaye, like those legends, even though they gone, people still talk about them now. Walter Payton, they got running backs that still watching his old football stuff and all that. So, legends, some legends just live forever, and that's
some of
all
them
about
people-
impact.
Some
Yeah.
of them people passed before we was born.
Right.
But we still hear their music, we still know about them, and other people still tell us about them, and they tell stories. So the stories live through stuff like this, like the conversation that we having. Somebody might look at this 30 years from now and be like, man, I saw an old interview when somebody was saying this, and I never knew that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. These people leave legacies, and a lot of different people are inspired by the impact that they put out into, the world. They open doors that a lot of people do not see, and when they open those doors, like, they pave the way kind of for people who don't have those opportunities, who don't have much of a voice. Like, they definitely open doors. So the legacy is really huge, and you're a part of spreading that legacy. So you just keeping the spirit alive, and that's very important. And here on OC Chronicles, we love giving people their flowers.
appreciate
You
that.
deserve it.
I appreciate that. And like I said, yeah, I mean, he part of my story, just like him, my brother, them that I was doing music with, Super Blanco, the youngest ones, S80, Super Bad, even, the artists I'm working with now, like G Merc and Nice Guns, all them guys, like, they mad. And like I said, Youngin was a part of that too. And anybody else I probably forgot, I'm sorry, but it's a lot of people that I work with and all that, and and he helped me and I helped him. We learned from one another. So I'm glad that Birdman, that he told Birdman and stuff about me, because I didn't know that he told him that. And like I said, if I would have kept what I was doing with this blogging and doing interviews and getting my name out there, Birdman probably would have heard of my name, but he would have never been able to put the face with it. And from me doing what I'm doing, he was able to track me down and just let me know too, from one brother to another. I salute you for keeping it real and josting him in prison and getting his music out there and doing that with the help of his brother and his cousins too and all that. But I appreciate that, and I thank y'all for like you said, telling me that y'all value that.
So let me ask you this. So you real good at what you do. Like, you real, like, precise. And like I said, you're respected and all that. So I want to ask you this. Like, what came first, the respect or the work? Like, did you get all this respect you got from the work, or did all the work come from, like, man, all these people respect my opinion anyway. They know I'm knowledgeable, so I might as well blog, interview, and manage. Like, how did that process?
I was in on first at my cousin record label, and I always knew artists and repertoire, trying to find the right songs, trying to put the right pieces together, the puzzle that'll work with an artist for why it's like, oh man, these beats that sound good with him. If I get him with this producer, this is a song I think hot. That helped me when I was at 0 to 60. Then managing Young and doing that kind of with Super Bad and all that from Mount Kenner. Then the blogging, Sean Cotton posting this stuff on his Say Cheese stuff, and then me giving my opinion in this so disruptive and stuff like that, and people was like, damn, who this dude is talking about? Everybody's wearing the crosses in the middle of their forehead, come from Soldier Slim and them. People talking about these steppers and all. I'm like, well, BG said, in my city is a struggle. You hustle to live large, you step or get stepped on times. So I'm like, these dudes saying it's a juvenile, like, nah, a nigga that threw a cross and the boss needed a nigga stepped on, so he hired 5 killers that started the heroin. So when people see that, I'll be able to go back to the reference things to show they'll
Where
have
it
the receipts.
started.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's why people was like, damn, this dude really, and I was consistent. At first, people wasn't really like, he the spokesman. They was like, 'cause Sean Cotton said when he first interviewed me, he only put that one part of our interview out. But when he did say it, he was like, when I was calling him spokesman, everybody was getting mad, like, he ain't the spokesman for us. But he was asking me my opinion. No, at first, it was like that. because they didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
But the more I stayed consistent, like you said, the work and then the respect came. So people got to see you put the hard work in. People love Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Floyd Mayweather, you know, Deion Sanders, because they worked their ass off. Nobody didn't give him nothing. You know, they had to make it happen. A lot of times people like, oh man, people sleeping on me, man. I've been doing this shit since I came out of high school. Even when I was in high school, I used to help people get recruited. I used to get the football. My cousin played football at Abelson, and he was out the Cali, and he used to get these football questionnaires, and I used to be reading them on when he lived on Tyre Lane, and he used to have like football department for LSU, Florida State. So I was like, well, damn, let me call them and see if they'll send me one of these things. But they was only giving them to like 3 players, the coaches at the school. So I was like, Florida State football department, the lady answered, and I said, could you mail me a football questionnaire? She was like, how many you need? I'm like, send me 5 of them. She was like, what the address is? Tell her my address in the 7th ward. 4 days later, my mama said, Gregory, you got mail. She like, what you getting mail? And I'm in high school. She was like, Florida State sent you a letter. So I get it, and then I'm going to give them to everybody on the yard. Everybody on the football team went to ask me, Gregory, give me one from Miami, or give me one, because Miami Hurricanes was popping at the time. I'm calling everywhere, USC everywhere, even Southern. I'm going in the library. I'm typing up the heights, the weights, the fall, the time. I'm making sure the dudes got the SATs, the ACT score. We use grid. Is your shit better than 19 or whatever? Like, because I'm like, you're going to need certain things to get a scholarship. Long story short, I was doing all that in high school, and the coaches was getting mad at me, and then some of the players went to laughing when the coach was like, who gave y'all that? But the other players like, nigga, y'all, excuse my friends, they was like, why y'all getting mad with him, or joking off him, Joseph, when this man was helping y'all? The other coaches wasn't even giving y'all these opportunities and trying to put the light on y'all. He is trying to help y'all. So I was always helping people or whatever. People just think that shit started. And it was even before that, but that's just something that people at my old high school, Abelson, which is the high school, BG, Lil Wayne, some of the squad up members, Fee Banks, my cousin Fat Mac that owned the record label went there. It was a lot of people that went there, you know, and Jacoby Jones, Ike Taylor. There's a lot of people, Toya, you know, Wayne's ex-wife. And the porn star Rod Pipe, is a lot of people that went. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that went to their high school. So we was doing that at their high school, but the respect came after I put the work in. So that's why people like y'all will reach out and people want to interview me and ask me questions, because I earned it. And people be wanting people to interview them a lot of time or have them on their shows, but they didn't put the work in. And I had to realize, like, maybe I'm not there yet, and I'm not gonna get mad. I'm gonna just keep working. A lot of people be like, oh man, like I said, you sleeping on me, man. You gotta put the work in, and the people gonna find you. If you good in football and basketball, you putting up numbers every night, all the coaches gonna come from all around the country and be like, we gotta come to this football game because this kid is doing shit like Leonard Fournette, Tyrann Matthews, you know, LeBron James, Allen Iverson. So the work came first, and then the respect started to come.
What he's saying is, consistency is key. Like, everything is being consistent. Don't think about it. You got to do it too. You got to put the action behind it. And that's how the opportunities come to you. So that's exactly what he's saying. You know?
Cash Money took, like I said, 7 years before the deal. P had to build up his record store. And even when I look at the blog and stuff, I kind of even look at it like how Master P had his retail store, because he was able to understand what the consumer wanted. He knew that they wanted gangster rap records, so he like, well, damn, if I go make a gangster rap record with my brothers and start selling in my store, maybe people might start buying it because this the kind of music that's selling. And then that made him kind of go down that rabbit hole, and then it went from No Limit Record Store to a whole company, but blogging the same way. As I Sean Cotton be able to break certain artists to his platform, we know what people want to see because we do it. So we know like how raw footage get more respond than some other kind of videos. We understand it because we do it. And he understood what people wanted because he had a retail store. And he understand different demographics and different audiences. A lot of people that rap, they don't even know their audience. They just like, man, I'm rapping. But you, first of all, you might be insulting people in your state, and then you don't even know who you even making music for. So you got to know your audience. If you making, you know, Mexican food, you gonna have a lot of probably in the Mexican community or Spanish community that like this kind of food. If you making jerk chicken, you're gonna probably have people that might like Caribbean food. If you doing country music, you might want to go do stuff in Nashville or whatever. You got to just know your audience. You got to know what you're going at. And a lot of people be throwing darts in the dark, so they don't even know what they're trying to hit because they don't know what they're hitting. I mean, they don't know what they're aiming for.
Facts, big facts.
But something you spoke on earlier, some people did like disagree with some of the stuff you were saying. It was mostly out of towners. And the thing I like, you was never afraid to stand up for New Orleans. You put your foot down. Look, We did this first. You don't believe me? It came from here.
Right.
Right there.
Right.
1990, whatever.
Right.
Like, so I always, and see, that's what's like, I like that because it's like everybody like taking credit for these new phrases, and it's not really new. And see, a lot of people already look at us like, oh, they think we all, they think they all that, whatever. But the truth is, we did start a lot of this shit. Like the culture right now is heavily New Orleans influenced.
It's rich.
Heavily.
Yes.
Like in Baton Rouge, this is I gotta give Baton Rouge their credit. A lot of them coming around, they admitting. Young Boy just recently did an interview. He admitted
on Rap Radar
that Baton Rouge got some of they swag, they style from New Orleans, and I commend that because it's true.
Boosie said too. A lot of them said.
They saying you heard me now. They saying a lot of stuff we say now. So it's like you just gotta give us our credit, bro. We just paperwork wise, we didn't get it right.
Right.
Bling bling is probably the biggest shit ever.
Right.
That wasn't on paperwork.
Right.
But people like you is just put it on notice, man.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do that because, like I said, like even when people say like when Juvenile was rapping on Back to that, you're working with some ass your bad making niggas spend his cash he rapping the way we talk. Yes. So people say with the that could mean a lot of different things. Just like people say what's happening, bitch, a bitch was happening, the way you deliver it could mean a greeting, it could mean like it's on. Right. And Baton Rouge, when they said up and stuck, that's something that they made. So we all still put a lot in this gumbo pie, Ratchet come from Shreveport, and everybody be like, oh, that girl Ratchet or whatever and shit. That's something that Mr. Manigan started with Live Out. So it's just a lot of stuff. We liked the Bunny Hop song that came out of Lafayette from the Entourage. People play that song in the club and it still come on. Da, 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 da.
I did not even know that came from somebody from Lafayette.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
The Entourage. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they from Lafayette, but I know the group called Entourage. So, and I think one of them had passed away. I can't remember the name, the particular individual that was in the group that passed away. But yeah, that song is not from New Orleans and stuff like that. And so that's what I'm saying. So it's a lot of people that gave us stuff, and that's why I be saying we got to be more open minded to one another instead of being so divided, because there's a lot of things that we could relate to. And a lot of them are influenced by us. Baton Rouge and Young Boy, big as he is, being right behind Taylor Swift, and Drake being streamed so much, even though a lot of the media or the award shows wasn't really recognizing him, his fan base, his cult fan base is ridiculous. His numbers is ridiculous, but he's still humble enough to say the city been wild and they been bloodshed and been more violent than us, but we came behind them, whatever, but they was already turned up first. He could say that. A lot of people can't say that. Boosie say stuff like, I cut your throat, take your heart. That's that Soulja Slim talk. I got some Reeboks on my feet, straight from New Orleans. My album Play Forever, like 400 by La Juve. He'll say, I'm in a 7 war with the Mel and Tory. He'll say stuff like, Webbing him and say, I've been listening to gangster music, like the Hot Boy. Like, there's a lot of times that they mention New Orleans, and it wasn't afraid to give New Orleans their flowers. And I just feel like we need to show them more love, because you'll see Fredo do stuff with Ride 49, and he'll fuck with Treat, and he'll fuck with, I think, C Finance, and you'll see like Kevin Gates and Young Boy fucking with Fee Banks, and they fucking around, and OG Booby Black fucking with them,
Black,
and all these dudes. Kevin Gates always talk about Stone a lot. I'm saying that, and BG and Boosie got a relationship, and C Murder. I'm saying that to say that them dudes really be showing love. When Boosie came home from prison, his first press interviews was in New Orleans. He had Angela Yee and all them down there in New Orleans. Bun B and all them came here. He didn't go to Baton Rouge. So it's showing that they really show us love, and we could really show them more love. And I always tell people the same way that Outkast felt when they got booed for New Artist of the Year in 1995. All Andre 3000 wanted the New York rappers to really feel like he was dope, and they didn't even acknowledge them on their night.
Right.
When they was getting awarded, they should have been happy. It was it should have been a celebratory moment, but they was sad. But they left with all right, they don't want us to be with them. We're gonna make our country rap too. We're gonna do this dirty South shit. And I feel like that's why Atlanta where they at now. In the last
Atlanta does it better and more than everybody. They have a chain link that goes so far, like dog. Like
Thanks.
I didn't even think, like, from Gucci to Young Thug, from Young Thug to Future, from Future to Lil Baby and them, from the Baby and them,
T.I.
Like, god damn,
it's all over the place. Outkast,
Atlanta
Goody
got a long chain link. Like, they keep somebody in the game. Atlanta been having one of the hottest top 5 artists in the game since I've been living. Yeah. Atlanta keeps somebody in that top 5, dog.
And then they got the singers too. Then you still think about, even though people might be like, all right, Usher from Chattanooga and Sierra from Texas, but they still rep. They rep Atlanta.
Yeah.
They fly that flag. So in Atlanta, you know, they got their little stuff how we be doing in the city about, you know, the West Bank or the East or Slidell or whatever, Kenner and all that. But for the most part, the Migos, even though they from Gwinnett County and they from Lawrenceville, they still fuck with it. 2 Chainz them from College Park. That's not
College
in the
Park
city
is
of
not
Atlanta. Yeah, it's not really Atlanta, but they still fly that flag. Yep. So yeah, they might have the little thing.
Decatur, another one. Yeah. Lord is from Decatur.
Right, Lord from Decatur. LeJohn and rep the deck too, and the Young Blood. There's a lot of them. You know, shout out, you know, a lot of them boys and all that. So it's just that, you know, that's what it's all about, bro. And I just feel like we got to show the state a little more love and stop being so divided. I feel like that hurt artists when they doing shows in other places, and I just feel like we got to do better at that. I just feel like we got to learn from the people before us so we could be in a better position. I feel like Atlanta in a better position because they might have their little things, but it don't never where it's gonna be the detrimental factor of Atlanta falling. You know, like that.
Let me ask you this: so you feel like just on your opinion, you feel like New Orleans or the rest of Louisiana more love? Cause a lot of times we be feeling like they don't like us and they need to show us more love. Do you feel like it's the other way around?
I think that being from New Orleans, like it's kind of like that New York attitude. Like we cocky, we arrogant sometimes. You know, we from New Orleans. We from a notable city that's been recognized around the world for years and always been what some might say the pearl of the South. So New Orleans, we got Mardi Gras. You know, we got the Saints. There's a lot of things that people come to our city for. All these, we host the most festivals in America. So it make you have this bravado and this cockiness about yourself being from New Orleans, and a lot of times the people from the small towns feel like they overlooked. Then a lot of people like how we talk, our accents. The women love how we say baby and stuff like that. And then Katrina hit and we went to different cities and it was wild, and that kind of made people feel a certain way about us.
That's when how
and prison too did it.
Like how the world felt about us, that's when it really came out.
Yeah.
Right.
During Katrina.
They call us refugees, and some people, y'all need to go back to your city. So I could understand a little resentment. We had T.I. saying New Orleans niggas killed for a whole summer and nobody didn't pay attention on Paper Trail. And it's a lot of stuff like that. Even Thug said dudes from New Orleans trying to come over in his neighborhood and take over. So a lot of people and Young Thug, Slim Thug even said it. Even when Hurricane Ida hit, he's like, oh man, here go them New Orleans people. Y'all get y'all guns ready because they coming out here on that trip and shit. So, but everybody know New Orleans is a wild city. It's the murder capital of the world. So you got to realize we as New Orleanians understand the crime and the violence here. So sometimes we on guard. We gotta, people getting shot all on interstates and shit. So for them to feel like they gotta watch us or we might be dangerous and stuff like that, we gotta be realistic. We understand why the people feel like that. Because what we've been known to do, everywhere we've been going, we've been vicious. So that's kind of what kind of make some people feel a certain way about us. A lot of my cousins tell me and friends tell me it's about the prison system. A lot of times it'd be like, they say it's North Louisiana, South Louisiana. Certain dudes be getting into it because you from this city and they from that city. And then one of my partners said the reason why the small towns do click up is because it's power in numbers. They like New Orleans more bigger and it's more of them. So we got the small towns got to come together to go against them because we can't outdo them. Yeah. Just like if they're in the feds, they call it different cause. Louisiana might be going against California or Texas. They state way bigger. California got like 30 plus million people in it. We got probably about 4.2 million or 4.5, something like that. So of course we gonna have to click up together. So that's what I'm saying. Like everybody gonna do that. That's just natural nature. Even animals pack up on something when they feel like they outnumbered, you know? Right. So it's just I guess people just gotta try to figure out the solution instead of figure out why we so divided and stop trying to shit on people because they'll be quick to say, I'm from New Orleans, not Louisiana. And you can say you from New Orleans without saying I'm from New Orleans, not Louisiana. When you do that, you kind of make them feel like they don't matter. That's a diss. And they be like, well, why? They like, Geedy, why they take it so hard? I can say I'm from New Orleans. I said, you can't say I'm from New Orleans. You can't say I'm from Miami. You can't say I'm from LA or Harlem. We know Harlem is in New York. But when you say I'm from Harlem, not New York, it's like everybody else in New York don't matter. So I'm like, listen to what the words you put out in the universe and wonder why people take it like that and feel like this why we don't like y'all because y'all have this type of attitude. So I'm just trying to open up the conversation and like Tupac said, I'm not saying I'm gonna change the world, but maybe we might spark the ideas that might make people look at stuff a little different. So I just feel like we need to do a little better at that And I feel like everybody always give us love around this country.
See, we divide the piss out of each other, and I always ask this when people talk about the West Bank, Kenner, people bring that up. I always talk about how people from Compton and Inglewood,
Watts,
they corrupt LA. They corrupt LA and nobody says a word. You ain't never heard nobody tell a Compton rapper, you not from LA.
Right.
But Compton is the actual city.
Right.
Compton, California.
Right.
They rep LA with no problem.
Now, what I think that come from, because that's a part of LA County. So I think all the cities in LA County, they can rep it. I mean, that's so big.
It's an LA County.
It's an LA County thing. So if you're in LA County, you could do it. I'm thinking, from what I know, Compton and Watson have been in LA County. Long Beach, all that stuff is in LA County.
2 Chainz can rep Atlanta.
Yeah, that's Clayton County. Yeah.
You know,
East
so
Point.
Why are we so hard up on dividing each other? We divide each other with the West Bank, East Bank, Uptown, Downtown.
But and when I think about it, all right, I'm gonna even start from the West Bank. When you got the West Bank, you got the Fisher. I got partners, people I know from out the Fisher. Fisher rep the Fisher. They don't represent. They don't fuck with LGs. That's a problem right there, because now y'all already got one strike against y'all because y'all saying fuck the West Bank side. We only worry about the Fisher. Right. So now they
don't even fuck with the whole LGs. Fisher is Fisher.
It's Fisher and nothing else. Right.
Not including cutoff.
Right.
None of that.
Right.
Fisher is Fisher.
Fisher is his own thing. So now you got that. To me, and like I said, they can feel how they want to feel, but this is just me speaking on it from what I see and what I think. And you asking me my perspective. When they say that, all right, now you just got the Fisher. So you ain't got no love from no Wells Cross River because they feel like y'all don't even care about us. So now that's a strike against them. Then you got the LGs part, but then LGs don't get love from the other parts of like Harvey and Marrero because that's Jefferson Parish now. So they only own whatever. Then LGs don't get love from on the other side because they the east bank of the river. On the other side, it's like y'all ain't really New Orleans, whatever, even though it's the 15 and the school board office where you go get your transcripts is in LGs. They got to come over here to get their high school transcripts if you want them to your college and stuff like that. And if somebody in the Fisher or the Cutoff or wherever over here do a crime, especially a violent crime, they're going to bring them on Tulane and Broad. They're going over here because it's still a part of Orleans Parish. So and then LGs is one of the oldest parts of New Orleans and stuff like that. So there's a lot of division. And even the East had that problem for a long time. Oh, man, even the East used to be like, that's not a part of the Ninth Ward, even though every part of New Orleans is a ward. Right. You got the Ninth Ward only, the biggest is because the East. If you take the Ninth Ward, if you take the East out, the Ninth Ward area is not the biggest. Right. The LGs would be the biggest, the 15th, because the LGs is the whole 15th. Yeah. Then you got the 7th Ward real big too and stuff like that because you got parts of Gentilly, but Gentilly is in 3 parts. You got part of the 8th Ward in Gentilly, you got part of the 9th Ward. Like Suno part would be like the 9th Ward part of Gentilly. The 8th Ward part would be like Millenly Playground. And then the 7th Ward part would be like Dillon University.
You put me on something because just like you just said, the whole New Orleans is all included in the ward. I didn't know the
17
East,
from the,
I didn't know the East would be the 9.
Yeah.
I thought Gentilly was his own thing. I didn't know that was the vibe.
That's just like an area like how you might have Carrollton. Carrollton, if you look at it on the map, the Carrollton is the 17th and the 16th. But nobody ain't gonna never rep the 16. But it is, some of these dudes that's repping the 17 really live in the 16. They don't know it though because they only going on what their grandparents told them. Right. But if you read the books and you get the education, the information, you'll know. Right. But a lot of people just going on what other people tell them instead of seeking knowledge. That's powerful. Yeah. Seek knowledge, seek understanding, and gain wisdom, and that way you can apply it. But everybody want to make it like to be smart is stupid or lame, or girls try to make you too smart, you corny. That's the fucking problem. That's why we so far behind. So if we knew better, we'll do better.
We think it's cooler to not have knowledge of things.
I wanted to add, I don't know if y'all saw Katrina Babies on HBO Max. I remember Buckles, he pinpointed something. After Katrina, a lot of people were uprooted, and when they came back to the city, they went to different areas of the city to live. And the people that stayed there and were a part of that community, they felt like, why y'all here? Like, it was an automatic defense, and a lot of people got into fights. The crime went up because everybody repped these different parts of the city, and that's where their roots was at and their blood was at. And then it's just like they came back to nothing. You know, that impact of Hurricane Katrina really fucked us up.
Still affect people. I would say, like, I used to live across Canal a few years ago, and some of the houses across Canal still look like they look when Katrina, they still got X's and stuff like that on the doors and shit.
And that's
And,
outrageous.
and that was this the same community where, you know, Mr. Magic from, definitely the most notable person, Fat Dominoes. They named the street after him, Cross Canal, the Lower 92. Shout out to Fat Dominoes. But I stayed over there back of town, and it still looked bad over there. And
Right.
those areas, a lot of stuff been gentrified in the Treme area where I was born at. When my parents brought me home, that was on my birth certificate. So these are historical areas like Sugar Hill and Harlem, or like Orange Mound and Memphis, that was black communities that's not the same no more. So
Right.
that pushing everybody, and you knock all the projects down, which this happened all across America. You knock down Cabrini Green, Robert Taylor Homes, you knock down projects in New York and Miami and Atlanta and stuff like that, and then you push everybody into a concentrated area. So like New Orleans East, at one time in the 80s, in the 70s, that was like where everybody wanted to go at. All the black people that was like Upland Mobile, they wanted to go to the East because, you know, everybody had money, and, you know, the Plaza was the mall. Like right now, the best mall in the state is the Mall of Louisiana in Baton Rouge, but the Plaza was the first place to ever have a Chick-fil-A. It was right across from Mr. Goldman's when Mass Pinham on Unbounded buying stuff from Mr. Goldman's. That was right. Chick-fil-A was right there.
So that's
It
when
was-
it was gone.
Yeah, they wasn't going. It was at Mr. Goldman's on Unbounded buying jewelry, but right behind Mr. Goldman's was Chick-fil-A. It was the first one in the state. They had a
Alright.
skating ring inside the place, like an ice skating ring. It made up for 25% of the sales tax, business sales tax in Orleans Parish was coming out the east. So it was that much money flowing through the east because you got Pat Swilling, you got football players, black doctors living in the east. So a lot of people want to go there. Then the Section 8 started coming, and then over time, the East got worse and worse. So you always had pockets, but you got to realize the East was like 80,000 people. That's more people that live in the East than Gary, Indiana, with Michael Jackson from Kenner. It was damn near his own city. So that's why the East make the Ninth Ward so big, because the population, but people don't know that. Like the Cross Canal might be like 2,700 people live over there, small. Cross Canal, they can look at the numbers, they don't believe me because it's small. You can ride through Cross Canal and then you in Chalmette. I stayed over there, I studied this shit. So, and New Orleans was like, and it probably still be right now by like 62 or 61% African American. But all those areas that got gentrified, like the Bywater, the Marigny, the Treme areas, parts of the Irish Channel, people had to sell their houses because they couldn't afford it, and everything going up after Katrina.
Yeah, the sales tax,
Right.
everything.
So you push everybody in the East. There's a lot of urban decay. There's a lot of killing. The hopelessness. The mayor trying to bring the Six Flags back there, but a lot of people don't want to do business out there because they're afraid.
The energy.
The energy is different or whatever, and it ain't like how it was. See how the Plaza started going on right before Katrina, just like how Esplanade was. Esplanade pretty much out of business now. Only mall that's thriving is Oakwood and Lakeside.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And then Lakeside don't really cater to too much black stuff, if we being honest, because they don't have no hip-hop clothing stores. So you got to go to Oakwood. Are you going to go on Canal, or are you going to find another store? So it's just like when you just look at it and all the politics and then the crime and then the city hall, the council members can't get on the same page as the mayor, and the mayor don't want to acknowledge that we got a crime problem because she don't want to run off the tourists because that's going to hurt the money. So it's a lot of shit that we got. We got all these problems and all these knots, and we can't untie them. So it's just crazy.
It is. It is. I'm really
So
glad.
what you think, like, as a people, what can we do, like, on a small scale to improve the city, improve the energy that we got? 'Cause we have a real negative energy, and everybody like to talk about if they catch one of these young dudes, they gonna kill them and stuff like that, and that ain't really no better.
Right.
Nobody want to see no 16, 17-year-old boy on the news, but we don't want them to keep breaking our cars and shit
Right.
either.
Right.
So it's like, what's something on a small scale we could do, like the?
I really feel like people could be
Deterrent shit.
mentors. People could get in front. You always try to get in front of the problem instead of behind the problem. That's like we lock up more people in Louisiana than anyone on the planet, but we got the highest murder rate in the country. So that's not fixing it. Just saying, oh, lock them up. They kill people. Lock them up. Lock them up. They making money off the prison stuff, so that's why they don't really care. If you want to catch the problem, get in front of the problem. So I feel like if we got more mentors, if we got more wise guys that can really guide these dudes into a different direction and doing something more productive instead of leading them down, going hit a lick, sell this, or man, you
Yes.
feel play, man, go
Yes.
kill that nigga, whatever. That's the wrong way, and they being misled and misguided by the wrong people that's leading them to destruction. So we could be older guys to our nephews' friends and cousins or kids or whatever, mentor them and try to be something positive in life, try to bring them to see different things and open their mind up, make them read books, make them just try to see themselves more than what they just see around them.
Yeah.
Because that's all they see. So they see a lot of hopelessness, and that's why Tupac used to say, "I live a thug life. I'm hopeless, baby." So he was pretty much crying out, and DMX is the same way, rapping for the have-nots. So a lot of people that feel like they don't have nothing, and they feel hopeless, they don't mind taking your shit that you work hard for. They don't mind robbing and killing your grandma and all that, because they feel like nobody don't love them and nobody don't care.
Yeah.
So if you love them and show them that they mean something, they matter, and you ain't just another statistic, and you ain't just another lost cause, then they gonna feel good about themselves, and they might start seeing themselves a little different. Instead of going to prison, and then they gotta learn how to read and educate themselves and try to get back into society. You know, they could catch it before that happened. We won't even just go to prison to make them right. We could try to, you know, be that, do our part. And it might be small, but it might.
You give up on them kids, they feel it. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
They going deep into the game now.
Right.
And I'm a quote somebody. See, everybody likes to laugh at Monster. Well, Monster say parents are the problem. Well, I'm gonna just say this. I'm in the playground system. I help coach my kids in track, baseball, basketball, whatever sport they do. I help coach.
That's dope.
So I'm going to say this. You know how hard it is for us to get them parents to bring their kids out there? So I say that to say this. It's like, okay, the kids who breaking into these cars, they have nothing to do. They have nobody asking them, hey, you did your homework.
Right.
Hey, you better pass this class.
Right.
Obviously, ain't nobody really on them like that. How they even out that late? They don't have a curfew.
Right.
So with all that being said, I feel like I respect everything you said because you on point. But parents, get a hold of your kids. He's 16, he's still a child.
Right.
He's 17, he's still a child.
Yeah.
18, young adult, but you ain't quite got it yet. Stick by your kids, man. Check on them. Check on their grades. See what they like. Check on their after school activities. Cause if they ain't doing nothing that you can see positive, only thing left for room for is negative.
And I know, and I'm gonna add this to that. I know sometimes some parents might don't have a car, so they probably can't give them the practice. They got other things going on because they're trying to work two jobs to make ends meet and keep food on the table. So that's understandable.
Yeah.
But for the ones that are able to get the kids to the practice, they trying to do something constructive and positive with their time, where they got older men that's trying to guide them and mentor them and teach them the right way, how to be a man and be responsible and respectful, and still do something they love that their community and their family could be proud of. That's what you wanted. Like you said, they need to make sure they own their books and they reading and they doing something productive with their time instead of wasting their time doing something negative and getting with the wrong crowd, and stuff like that. So yeah, I do feel like the parents do play a big part in the community too. That's why they say it take a village to raise a child.
When I was young, my mama had to meet your mama
So
or
go by
dad
your
or
house.
whatever.
Yes.
She had to meet them.
Yes.
She had to feel comfortable in her heart.
If you gonna sleep over there playing
Because guess
Nintendo?
what? There's many sleepovers. She told me, no.
Yeah.
No,
Same.
you ain't going.
Same.
Many times, nah, he can't sleep by me. He can't sleep over here.
Right.
But because she really had to analyze the situation, and I used to be like, God damn, man, I can't sleep
no
by none
fun.
of my friends.
Right.
But she
The
was
dynamic.
just being careful.
Yeah.
She didn't want me just round just know anybody. She didn't want me. She didn't want her child spending the night in a whole nother environment that she wasn't sure
Bad
about.
habits start running off on you.
And now that I'm grown, I 100% understand.
Yeah. I remember Barack was saying before that, the president, he was like, my mom used to make me read all these books. She used to make me get up like 4, 5 in the morning, early, way before school, and read something. He's like, I hated it. But now that I'm the president, you know, he said that when he was the president, he was like, now that I'm president, I think, even after he was the president, he was like, it all makes sense now. But at that time, I didn't get what she was doing. But now I understand. Just like when Michael Jackson, them daddy, Tiger Woods' daddy was teaching him, Earl was teaching him so young, or even the tennis players, Serena and them, when they probably didn't want to do shit, or Celine and them, all those things they be doing for a reason, and you might don't get it now, but it'll make sense later. So even with your mama doing that, she was protecting you, or she didn't want the wrong habits or the wrong energy. A parent that probably wasn't even watching their kids. Some kids could get molested and get touched on by men that you don't know who over there. Even with young girls, like dudes be doing, or the brother, the big brother, or the little kid you playing with, his big brother could be touching the little girls. You don't know, so you got to be mindful of all that thing, all those things.
Right. I also believe we need to kind of like invest into the community as far as in youth centers, like counselors,
no ordinary,
mental health, like a lot of mental health stuff like goes unnoticed in younger children because they're kids and you don't have a mind or anything. But a lot of stuff like peer pressure, self-esteem, a lot of that
Bullying.
stuff rubs off on kids. You get bullied into doing certain
Yes.
stuff. Like it's always a telltale in New Orleans. It's over and over again. It happens. It's a repeated cycle. So if we have more people as far as in mental health advisors or youth centers where people can actually send their kids and they have these opportunities, it will keep them busy and keep them out the streets.
Yeah, that's true. Like I said, people don't want to spend the money and the resource on things that's gonna really help and be effective.
Yes.
Yeah, impact. And I
we,
don't,
we definitely need to let them know what a real respect lies, because as a 16, 17-year-old in New Orleans area, I've been there before. So we get respect for living like that. That's what they call it. He living like that. Don't fuck with him. He living like that. But we don't realize the other shit that come with it. You might get respected from the people who not living like that, but the other niggas who living like that, now you gotta prove yourself. So with all that being said, it's like we gotta add value into, oh shit, you an artist. That's dope.
Right.
That's what's up.
Right.
Or you smart. You getting good grades. That's dope. That's what's up.
That should be celebrated.
Like, we gotta put value into stuff like that instead of just being like, man, that boy a fool. He be punching shit down.
Right.
Man, that boy a fool. He nice in football. Like, we have a big problem with only putting life into sports with young black men. We got to put that same life into academics, artistry, all that other stuff.
Like you said, being a doctor, a lawyer, astronaut, a tech
Right.
guy. And like I said, that's what it's all about. Because a lot of times people say you're living like that and all this gangster stuff. But when they don't talk about the other side. Yeah, you talking about he did this and killed this person, went to jail for that. But now he got enemies. His family got to move a certain way. You know, you're in prison. You got to fight the time, or you might not never get the time back. So all these, your girls leave you alone. Your baby mama or your wife, she move on to another man. Your kids you ain't in their life, so now they go astray. So all these things that you doing, trying to be in the game and trying to keep it real, you lose everything or whatever just for a moment of getting that recognition of the street credibility. But you spend 40 years of your life just to ball for 5 years or whatever that you was on the streets cutting up and doing all this, making this name for yourself. But look how you gonna be remembered. You know, so if it's a way to stop that before you get there, because a lot of those dudes be like, man, if I knew what I knew now, I would have never did that.
Yep.
But I was just on the wrong road and I was out my mind and I was misguided and I was just like, it was whatever. And now I'm in here and I'm looking at how foolish I was and how lost I was. And a lot of times, I remember Angela Davis said, you can't liberate the people till you liberate their minds. So a lot of times people got chains on their minds and they just lost. But when you open their mind up and they go to thinking differently, like, man, I didn't even look at it like that. The whole while we was doing this shit was crazy. Like we beefing over somebody 20, 30 years ago that killed somebody because he was messing with his girlfriend at a party and he shot and killed him, and then this whole war in this hood started, and now we beefing over this, and the kids and the other kids inheriting this beef and they don't even know what this shit stem from. Because he took his girlfriend at a house party.
Something so petty, like,
And the war still going on. So
right.
So we gotta wrap this up, but before we wrap it up, I'm gonna ask you any game you want to give somebody. Matter of fact, scratch that. Any game you want to give us,
right.
because you are what we trying to be. If I'm gonna be completely honest, I said it off camera, I'm gonna say it on camera. You are an example of who we trying to be as OC Chronicles. Right. Well respected, educated in the game, all that. So what's some advice you could give to us for the future of what we could do to become more of what we trying to get at?
I feel like if y'all stay on the same page as a team and y'all keep being consistent and keep making minor adjustments to make y'all better, y'all gonna be good or whatever and stuff like that. So, and everything or whatever, you know, y'all got to set up everything look dope.
Thank you, dog.
Right.
No problem. Thank y'all.
Thank you for the game.
Thank you
for the game. Thank you for your time.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
All of the above. This OC Chronicles. I'm go by Lucky Lucci.
Yep, Ziggy Alex.
And I'm Geedy P, and shit, you already know.
Like, subscribe, comment.
Definitely subscribe.
All of that.
Subscribe. And if you're not tapped into what Geedy P got going on, if you love New Orleans, if you love the culture, period, tap in. He know what he talking about. The game go way back. If you need some shit, you need to learn about the projects, the old rappers, all that. Tap in. He tapped in. Learn some shit.
Yeah, and it's Geedy P Speaks on Instagram. All together, Geedy P Speaks, and on Twitter, it's Geedy_P.